Yeah, it's just people are full of shit when they say it's about the economy because everybody in Oklahoma voted against their own best interest, and they've done it for decades.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
Play a clip from Joe Walsh. He was at a table full of, we call them unmelanated because, white is a made up construct. The fact that people have allowed this system to eliminate their Irishness and their Polishness and their Italianness and their Swedishness and their German, like to be part of something called white, even your Latino folk who speak Spanish, who now can check white, they're so happy. You've been eliminated. You do realize. And it's wild to me. So Joe Walsh was sitting at a table full of white folk, and here's what he said, the real reason people voted for Trump.
I think when people told you that they were voting for him because of the economy, they were lying. I think people voted for him because this country, too many people in this country, couldn't even think about voting for a black female. So when but they don't want to say, they're not going to say, I'm not voting for her because she's a woman or she's black. God forbid she's both. Oh, and by the way, she's married to a Jewish guy. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, I'm voting for him because of the economy. They're liars.
Hold on. Completely agree with a lot of what you say. But when we say they're liars, we don't mean all of them. Put your best spin on. Why would
he's a good businessman. They think he was going to make us money.
A good businessman, do good for the economy, make money. Okay, smart guy. Why did good people vote for Trump?
Exactly. We didn't finish that. Joe Walsh, Illinois politician, pundit now, Republican Party candidate, said this is it. Does that ring true, Angie?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do believe that racism has always existed, particularly in these super white suburbs and rural places where there's just no exposure to any diversity. You don't, and so you fear things that you don't know. But then when you add on top of that, this spoon-fed bullshit, can I say BS?
Yeah, you could say all of the cusses y'all say. We call people twats and stuff. You could call people twats. You could call them cankles, taco tits. All the things can happen.
Yeah, it's just people are full of shit when they say it's about the economy because everybody in Oklahoma voted against their own best interest, and they've done it for decades. It's unbelievable, but it's true. But I think it's the propaganda machine. And just like I've seen so many comments on the internet, Republican politicians that say 440 million people on SNAP is ridiculous. They need to get off their fat ass and get a job. And it's like, dude, you're missing the point. They are not making livable wages. They are not able to live on their salaries. They work full time and still need financial assistance to eat. But your big cat billionaires, they're buying new private jets. I just heard there's a race on private jets right now for the tax cut. And I'm just like, it's just sickening. But I do want to say this. I have been, we lost the right to reproductive freedom in Oklahoma. I think it's been 2 years now, right after the Dobbs decision. Criminally charged if your doctor gives you advice. Women bleeding out.
Advice.
Right. If your doctor says, you have options other than delivery, that's a crime in Oklahoma. So, I mean, it's a moral judgment. These people make a moral judgment. Well, it's just sluts. And it's just like, shut the fuck up. You just don't know. But anyway, they want the government in our doctor's offices here. And I have a daughter. I have 3 early 20s. But I have a daughter, and she was in her junior and senior year when the campaign was going on. We'd lost the right to have reproductive freedom in our state. And none of her friends' mothers, maybe 2, even considered that as a part of the vote in voting, like because they're insulated by being white and having money. The privilege of being white and having money, if their daughter was raped and was impregnated, they can afford to take their daughter out of the state. And so it inversely impacts women in poverty. And I just think that is so sad. And what I've seen my whole life growing up, until it affects me, I don't care. And I'm insulated because of privilege, because I'm white. My parents have money. I have an education. So I don't need to think about other people. It sounds crazy, but I believe that's why we're voting against our own best interest and all that, because it doesn't affect me.
So I want to get back. Angie Sullivan is here. I've had it. I want to know how the podcast started. I know about Sweet Home Oklahoma. I don't know how you transition from that into this. It's amazing though. The radicalization of Angie.
Yeah.
that moment, Damascus, on the road to. What happened that it shifted everything? Like what really happened? Because there are people who can rationalize and exposure and all of the things. Was there one thing that you said, okay, this doesn't make any sense, and it sent you down a rabbit hole of discovery?
It was a lot of things. Like when my marriage was a disaster, I found out my husband was so naughty and ridiculous, and I just had no idea how to handle that. Then I deconstructed my evangelical upbringing and what my faith told me versus what it was being modeled, and just life choices. And really, honestly, I'm very lucky in that I never watched Fox News. Like I never got super indoctrinated in that. But I'll tell you what made me interested in politics, and this is so weird. But I was, I voted for Clinton, I voted for Obama, I did all that. I did vote for George W. Bush one time. So, I mean, it's not a perfect record, but even as a young adult, still registered as a Republican, I voted for Democratic policies. Here's the thing. When I became radicalized, like a radicalized liberal, is when I figured out I didn't have social media, I didn't have Twitter, none of that until the podcast. So 3 years, we just had our 3-year anniversary.
Wow.
And I heard about these tweets that Donald Trump would tweet on Twitter. And I said to Jennifer, we were having lunch, and I said, his staff is not doing him any favors, letting him get all liquored up at night and posting that shit on Twitter. He looks like a fucking nut. And she was like, he's like a known teetotaler. Like he doesn't drink. This is all him stone cold sober. And it was just like, what? Like somebody is doing this sober and they live at the White House? How is that possible? So that's when I started getting super into it. So she told me, you need to look up the Midas Touch Network. So I started, watching that. And so I avoided the whole indoctrination by Fox News. But yeah, I was so appalled by the lack of decency and the degradation of his conduct in the White House, like the respect for the presidency. That's why I became interested in politics. Like, that's why.
Hitler was also a teetotaler, didn't smoke or drink.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So you're just a full-blown sociopath.
Yeah, and then he got voted for again by 77 million Americans.
That's crazy.
So what does that say about them? What does that say about them? What does that say about our fellow Americans? Okay. Angie's here. Angie Sullivan. She and Jennifer Welsh, they do a podcast. It's called I've Had It, and they have had it. It's amazing. I use your clips a lot because you say things to people that they won't come on this show, but they foolishly go on your show thinking that it's going to go. I'm like, have you watched them at all? But and you said things to people in their faces and they say thank you and they won't come here. So I'm using you as a way to talk to them as well. So I appreciate the things that you're able to say that I would say, but it wouldn't land the same way because I'd be an angry black woman, which also
that's right.
Really pisses me off. Anyway.
Yeah, agree.
You guys starting this podcast, what was the conversation?
Okay, so it was during COVID. And we were on the phone all the time and everybody's kids were at home regardless, so everybody's kids were around all the time. And my daughter and Jennifer's oldest son have been together like best friends in the bathtub together since they were like 2 years old. Like they're each other's first best friend. And so they were like, why don't y'all just get off the phone? Like y'all talk on the phone too much. You talk about the same shit over and over. All you do, blah, 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 blah. And then Dylan, her son, is super, he understands the internet in a way I never will. And he's like, you guys should start a podcast. You talk enough, you talk shit enough, and you guys are kind of funny. And so that's kind of where it started. And the moving into politics, we've both, Jennifer's always been super politically active. I was kind of out to lunch on the whole thing, dealing with my own tortured life until I got some empathy and figured out the world a little bit and evolved. So we really never talked about, oh, we need to talk about politics. It was just like we would talk about it at night, like, can you fucking believe this is happening? Like, how is this happening? And so now we just do that on a podcast. We still, honestly, I picked up my phone today and the headlines were like, Kristi Noem's falsifying documents. There's a man in Tennessee that said something ugly or something that Trump didn't like about Charlie Kirk. He's on a $2 million bond. He's been in there for 30 days. I'm just like, how is this happening? Like, and here's the thing. And Jennifer, she reminds me of this all the time. This is what people voted for. They wanted mass deportation. They wanted this. And I'm like, what's so interesting is that it never really, nobody ever thought it was going to happen to them. Like the farmers, the Latinos for Trump. It's like he was holding signs at his rallies that said mass deportation. Him deporting people should not be a surprise.
Yeah, Project 2025 is right there. It's right. You need to read the 900 pages. There were plenty of people telling folk about it. Angie Plum Sullivan is here. I've had it as the podcast. Are you hopeful? So 3 years in, you guys have been doing this. You have taken off like a rocket ship. Not SpaceX, but one that actually functions well.
Please, no.
Yes, yeah. Are you hopeful that this, we were having this conversation on this show on Friday, the Biggest Loser, everybody got involved in it, and then more people gained weight because we like to watch. We don't actually like to do. We like to talk about things. Are you seeing any movement towards sanity?
I am. And part of me is like, I don't know if it's because I've created my own echo chamber with people around me, but my friend, right. I mean, it's just like, we're just not having any of that crap. I will tell you, like my group of college girlfriends, we're still super duper close. And I would say every single one of us growing up was Republican, did all the things you would think somebody from Oklahoma had done. Every single one of us has moved way left. And in the last 5 years, it's been a dramatic move. People that I know that voted are just like rich people, like doctors that, have never had to worry about money. They voted for Kamala Harris, white men in positions of power because of the indignity and how just hateful and mean, even the fiscal Republicans. So I have seen a shift. Is it enough? When I went to the No Kings in Oklahoma City in June, this last time I went in Houston, I was visiting my oldest child. I could not believe my eyes, Karen. I could not believe my eyes. There were a gazillion people there, old, young. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people in Oklahoma were there. So I felt heartened by that. There were all different colors, all different races. Most people were like, my favorite sign was, if Kamala Harris was president, we'd all be at brunch, which I'm like, true.
That's true.
True.
That is true.
I was like, no
Very
shit. But so many people are angry about ICE, people that I would have never expected. The inhumane treatment of people, they don't like it when they see it. So am I hopeful? Yes. Do I feel like people, even in Oklahoma, are moving? Yes. The Fox Newsers, I don't have a lot of hope there. I just think that demographic, we got to write it off.
But it's 27% of the populace, right? So
Right.
at the most, if we want to give them that much. And this is the thing, numbers do matter. I'm looking at the 90 million people that didn't vote. I think that was the largest voting bloc,
Right.
77 million. Okay. That I think the Democrats should stop courting white men.
Agree.
Let them do whatever. Stop it. You're not going to get them back.
Never.
Whatever they've already been. The dead worm is in all of their brains. It's like fungi. So it's there. And double down on what's happening in the world.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back, and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We